The Bear, which is, of course, the show wherein the moment I open my mouth about it, I am now witnessing its untimely demise. So that is definitely premature. I have not seen the last of the episodes. I watched 6 and 7, and 6 was the best and actually justifies the entire season. 6 was the best so far, although it still started out with the same writing pitfalls and problems that the earlier episodes had. And I thought I was going crazy here, but there was at least one other commentator who emphasized in the first couple of seasons, they didn't talk about the third season yet, but they emphasized in the first couple of seasons how there was a lot of use of montage and, musical interludes, a lot of interesting music in the background, and the editing emphasized the kinetic, frantic nature of the storytelling. So, like I said, I am going to go back and watch seasons 1 and 2 to see if I've got it wrong and how I remember it, and I'm just being too harsh. But yeah, so episode 6 of season 3, it started out, it's Tina, and she's got some interactions with her husband, and the whole beginning, I don't know, it's like the first half of the episode, it's just trash generic writing, and it was really annoying. Tina, the actress for Tina, is doing an excellent job. She is killing it on selling every aspect of the character and the emotions and everything else. It's just the writing is so generic relative to what had been expected from the first couple of seasons. It was really, really annoying. It's just, oh man, we're really struggling to pay for this house. It sure would be a shame if something bad happened that made it more difficult. And then, oh no, your job is lost. And oh man, I've got to find another job. And oh no, it's really hard to find a job. And like I said, the actress, absolutely no fault to her. She murdered it in every aspect of everything that she had to do for this part and this character. And when she had to go into offices, there's a kind of rebranding of Tina, which is annoying and par for the course with a lot of the writing nowadays, wherein the implication is that her acerbic attitude that she has when she's at the beef, when she first meets Carmy and you first get introduced to her, that she's kind of got that, just the attitude that she's calls people out and curses a lot and is really mean to Sid when she meets her and really mean to Carmy and suspicious of everybody and all that stuff. The implication is that it just happened because she couldn't find a job, and one receptionist was a dick to her. And that's what built her entire personality. That was kind of annoying. That really bothered me because that's one of the thing that people don't realize is that the aspects of a character, when you can have a character and you can have them do things that are really annoying and get to flirt with things that would bother you and piss you off as a viewer, and then you have them do something that's really endearing or show them in a better light, that really solidifies the character as real and somebody that you can either genuinely like or hate. And most of the time you're going to like them when you have that balance. It just makes them more complex. And everything in the first 2 seasons was about doing that for every character. And it did it really, really well. For Carmy and Sid and Richie and Marcus and Sugar and Michael, every character, and Tina especially, every character had something there was something that they did that was really good and funny and endearing, and there was something they did that was really annoying that pissed you off, that they were mean to a character you liked or something like that. And Tina was one of the best ones for that. Because when she initially met Carmy, she was a jerk. When she met Sid, she was a jerk. And you were like, who is this person? And she didn't want to change anything. She didn't want to grow. She didn't want to learn anything. She just wanted to stick to her ways, and that was that. And then over time, you get this beautiful arc with her where she's finally getting a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of respect, and she's actually putting effort in and does something really well, and Sid praises her. And it's like, an atom bomb going off. It's such a beautiful moment. And I would even say that even though the writing is not great for this particular episode, for the first half of this episode, the actress seems like she has this maturity in the way that she's approaching all of these scenes and this character that is so beautiful and wonderful to watch. Because there were some moments where she kind of telegraphs the way that the character feels when she has interactions with Carmy. that aren't as established or don't show the experience or the character work that was necessary. And that's not to say, I mean, these are just like 2 moments in entire seasons. So this isn't saying that it was bad in any way, shape, or form. There were just a couple of times, like when she was talking to Carmy about the knife, and she says something about, sorry, chef, I didn't give you your knife back. She was telegraphing emotionally the fact that he was going to be fine with it. Whereas in other scenes, she doesn't do that. She's just in the moment. But in that scene in particular, she telegraphed it. And then in this particular episode, I don't think there was a moment where she did anything that was less than stellar when it came to her acting. And I've only seen it once, I could go back through and who knows. But it was beautiful. Her acting was amazing all the way through. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Like I said, the problem was the writing in the first half was so generic. It was just so straightforward, just like, oh, like I said, it would be a shame if we lost, some of our income, and then, oh my gosh, we're losing some of our income. And then I'm going to find a job. It would suck that if it was really hard to find a job. And then it was, generically, I can't find a job. And then the guy was a jerk to her. And then she has the blow up moment where she curses and all that. And like I said, it weirdly retcons her personality to make it much more superficial than it seemed to be. It's something that seems like it should have deeper roots that you have to work through, other than she was just looking for a job at one point in her life and it was really difficult to find a job. But then we go from that to her just happening to go to the beef while Michael was running it, and she meets Richie for the first time. And my God, there were so many I loved. This was where the writing was back to expressing character and plot without explicitly saying it all. And they set up the scene that was coming next in an earlier episode in the season, which was awesome. So, I'm talking about spoilers with this episode. I don't know. I probably should have said that way earlier, because the other ones, I don't think I did spoilers, but in this one I am. Just because I remember the episode and it was so vivid, and I appreciate that it was actually good. So she goes in and she just wants a coffee. She's just ordering a coffee. She had a really, really rough day. She's feeling absolutely horrible. She just wants a coffee. This atmosphere is pretty intense, and Richie's yelling, doing his normal thing with the customers. And he's like, okay, you want a coffee? He pours the coffee, gives it to her, and says, it's on me. And so you could see there's just this moment of, oh my God, somebody did a kindness to me on such a horrible day, and how important that is, how much that means to me emotionally. Actress kills it. Then it goes further because somebody is a jerk or something, so they give her a free sandwich too, and they just say, have a good day. And Richie plays it perfectly. It's not treated as, oh, that is another thing that we will talk about. Holy mother. I think this was episode 7 primarily. So Richie gives her the coffee and the sandwich, along with the other guy, I don't remember his name, but give her the coffee and the sandwich for free, say just enjoy it, and she goes back to the room that we knew so well from seasons 1 and 2, and Michael happens to be in there filling up the napkins in the dispensers, and so Fac's in there too. He's playing the game, the arcade game in the back, and then they have a nice little interaction between Richie, who comes back there, and Michael and Fac, and you have Tina, who finally, because in the face of this one little kindness and all the pressure and everything that's been just destroying her this whole episode, she breaks down, starts crying. And again, finally some good writing and some stuff that reflects what The Bear was in the first 2 seasons, because she's crying and there's this surreal moment where something on the game screen, like he lost on the game, Fac did, and it shows something on the screen that says like, this is your lowest point or something. It's something that makes sense in the context of Tina's storyline at this time. And that's one of the beautiful things that happened in the first 2 seasons. Tons. Over and over again. Like I said, I think in the last episode, I talked about how Carmy was blowing up. He was getting more and more angry at Richie at one point, and you had the mixer going off. It's this loud sound, and then Richie says something like, don't blow a fuse, and while Carmy's getting super, super pissed, and then all the lights go off, and they blow a fuse. So it's that great surreality that turns the whole thing into a metaphorical examination of people's emotions and meaning and all that. So like I said, they have this moment with Tina, and it's finally good writing again, and she's breaking down, and then again keeping on with the good writing, Richie's like making fun of her, and he's saying terrible things about her and saying we can't have her in here, she's gonna scare away all the customers, she's in here crying, she can't be in here crying, this is ridiculous. And so Michael's trying to tone it down and just be like, I don't want to talk to her, you talk to her. And so it's that back and forth. Again, that's being those guys are being dickheads at the moment, and that's endearing, that's complexity, that's interesting. So you have them doing that, and finally Richie goes back to the front, Fat goes with him, and Michael is like, okay, I have to handle this. And Michael and Tina have a beautiful conversation that it gets a little bit into the explicit, just saying how my feelings are, but it has a lot more back and forth to it. Because it's even in the context of something that makes sense conversationally, where, okay, you know this person's been crying, they're having a bad day, so she asks him how his day has been, and he says, it's just like a generically not great day. And then they go on this diatribe about how they're talking about the bad things that have happened even in just generically not great days, and then it goes back to Tina and she gets to talk about what's going on with her. So much better setup, much better structure in that. And finally, there's this expectation the whole time that you're watching the damn show. There's the expectation that Michael is going to offer her the job, and they withhold on it and withhold and withhold until you get to the end where Michael is the one, because he's being such a sweet, awesome guy in this moment to somebody who needs this support right now. He's the one trying to sell her on the job. He's the one saying that this is a terrible place and it sucks and you don't get paid much, but it'd be great if you could come work for us. And my God, what a good moment. What good acting on both parts. Like I said, Tina crushes it. She is, the actress who plays her is great throughout the entire episode. And she hits this moment. She hits every aspect of this moment. And then to have Michael this is the most extended look and slowed down moment that you get with Michael in the entire show so far. So to have him and Jon Bernthal playing him get to go through this slow moment, this slow back and forth where you just have this budding friendship between these two is fantastic. It's fantastic. It justifies the entire season. And it's just because I want it to be perfect all the way through. That's why it pisses me off so much when it's not. So 6, they go through it. She gets to go home and they get that moment. And a lot of times this show, what's one thing that's amazing about it is it will skip the expected moments and you just have to feel those without actually seeing them. So like in the first episode, at the end of the first episode, Carmy is told by Richie, and Richie does this out of love. He's doing it because he thinks it's the best thing. Richie says, knock it off. We're not doing any of this new stuff. Just make the spaghetti so we can feed these nerds who are here for this game tournament. Just make this spaghetti and that's it. And so Carmy is like, finally, okay, well, geez, I'm trying to do this new stuff, but I've got to take care of this place. Maybe he knows better. Maybe the people who are here know better than I do. And so I'm just going to make this stupid spaghetti and we'll feed these people and that'll be that. And then I think that's when Marcus comes up and talks to him about how he tried the thing that Carmy talked about doing, putting the pan with the water in with the bread to keep it moist. And so Marcus comes up and says that. And so that gives Carmy that spark that he needs to say that, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to do this. I got the respect of this one who says, I think that's the first time he says, heard, chef, or something. And they use that throughout the rest of the couple of seasons. They say that whenever they tell somebody something, they'll say, heard, chef. So then he says, no, never mind. And it's got this double-edged thing because what we later find out is that in that can was a ton of money that Michael had held for Carmy to use in the restaurant later. So he throws the can out and doesn't open it and doesn't find the money at this moment in the first episode. But it's Carmy realizing, okay, no, I'm going to do something great with this place and I don't care. It's going to be rough, but we're going to do it. And that's the end of it. So it doesn't show then, after that, it doesn't show Carmy going like, oh, no, that's not what we're going to do. And he makes some other kind of food and they give it to all the nerds and it's successful and they make a lot of money. They don't show that. They cut it off. It's the end of the episode. Before any of that happens, you assume that's what happened, but you're on to the next episode already. In episode 6, they do send her back home where she explicitly tells her husband, oh, I got a job and I'm happy again or whatever. And she might not have explicitly said, I got a job, but she said that it was a really good day or something good happened today or something like that. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of not great writing in this episode, but there are also some of the most resonant moments so far in the show and some of the best in TV period. So I definitely give them a pass for that and appreciate that they let this actress do so much with this character and we got such great moments that we knew happened. Oh, that was the other thing, is that they had set up in an earlier episode, I think it might have been in episode 1 they set this up, where Carmy takes a picture of something that he had made and sends it to Michael. And then it shows, as part of a montage, it shows Michael showing Tina this amazing thing that Carmy had made, and neither one of them know what it is. And so, like, what the heck is that? And he's like, I don't know. But it's just part of a montage at that time. And then it goes back in this season, in episode 6. Finally, you get to see where that came from. And Michael, while he's talking to Tina for the first time, he gets the picture from Carmy and he shows Tina. And then they get to go back and forth. And he talks about how, how proud of you. I don't know if he uses the word proud, but he talks about how awesome Carmy is at this thing and that he found his thing. And that's just it. So much good stuff. I really do think that the issue was they had a few story beats that they needed to hit in a few episodes, say like 4 of the episodes, and they just had to fill out the rest of the episodes. And it was just too much for the showrunner to write and direct all these things because it's just behemoth now. And he probably had less time in between doing the first and second, to write and storyboard and get everything ready for the first and second season. He probably did it all at once and it was all prepared ahead of time. And then third season, he had to like do it himself over a summer or something like that. So he had to get other people in this and other writers, other directors to try to work it out. And it does seem like the show has suffered dramatically for that, but it doesn't change how perfect the first 2 seasons are. So we'll see where it goes from here. Episode 7 I did watch, and the only thing I remember from it was it had those artificial, profound conversations that it was plugging into places. And again, it seems like we end up with these just duos of conversations that seem randomized. It's just, we'll have this character and that character talk, and this character and that character talk, whatever. It doesn't seem as well put together as the first 2 seasons, and it does kind of smack me of True Detective. Season 2? Season 1 was absolutely mind-bogglingly good, and it was so praised and so well received. And then season 2, it seemed like he had far less time to create it, so he just it was like a Raymond Chandler novel and just made that into a show, and it wasn't as well put together at all. And that's kind of what it seems like with this season for The Bear. But what I was going to say with episode 7 is that they would have these artificial, profound conversations. And that's something that shows up all the time in shows and movies where the writers just, we need them to talk about this particular thing, or we just need them to have something to talk about. Not sure plot-wise or anything what to do here, and we don't need to make it natural at all. We'll just have them have some profound conversation about X or Y, and they're just sitting somewhere, they're just having that conversation, and that's it. That's the scene. And that drives me insane because the first 2 seasons of The Bear, they did it so naturally and worked things in so well and still had the aspects of character that were still there that it was much better watch. I think it's in episode 7 where they're having this allegedly profound conversation between Marcus and Carmy where they're talking about, what is legacy? And what do you want your legacy to be? And they explicitly just talk about what they want their legacy to be. And that just, it was so straightforward and so obvious, it just drove me a little crazy. And and episode 7 is where Sydney gets an offer from another chef to pretty much run her own restaurant. He would be the main person, but she gets to do whatever she wants with it. And so she's mulling that over now. And then, like I said, Carmy and Marcus are just having this explicit, straightforward, boring-ass conversation about, what do you want your legacy to be? Let me describe it. In the first episode of season 2, there was a kind of situation like that, but it was done in an infinitely better way. So you have Carmy upstairs talking to the whole crew, and they're going through something, trying to figure something out. And he's like, where's Richie? He says it multiple times, where is Richie? And they're like, he's downstairs, I don't know what he's doing. And he goes, still? And so he goes to find Richie to ask him about, the drywall or something like that, to get a price on the drywall. And Richie says, gives him the price of the guy that he knows, says, this is going to be the quote. And then as Carmy's trying to leave, then Richie says, do you ever think about meaning or something like that, And so you already have a setup into a setup to be able to get him down there. Carmy's trying to leave the conversation, and that's when the profound conversation comes out. And not only that, but he's resistant to it. He says, I don't have time for this. I love you, but I don't have time for this. And Richie just accepts it and says, okay. And then Carmy's like, okay, I'll listen. All of those things make it infinitely more natural and believable and acceptable to have a profound conversation now. But when characters just are sitting somewhere and talking and decide to have a profound conversation, that is a bad way to introduce that kind of a subject. It's really a bad way to do that. So, like I said, I don't really know what happened when it comes to... I think I know what happened, but I don't really know what happened. I don't want to look up any of the background stuff until I've seen the whole season. But it really does feel like he just needed help. The showrunner needed help, and they hired a bunch of writers, and they hired a bunch of directors. And so it's not that labor of love that it was in the first and second season that made the first and second season some of the best things that have ever been created in the medium. And that's why now you don't have the montages, you don't have all the symbology that was built into all the episodes, you don't have the musical and audio notes that kept it so interesting and frenetic and fresh. You just have a really basic structural storyline where they know they're going to hit a few beats, they have some generic dialogue in between, and they just go along with that. Except for, that scene where Tina meets Richie and for the first time and talks to Michael. So, and except for the first episode of this season. First episode of this season was fantastic. So I'll take the positives where I can get them right now, but I really hope that they go back to the other directing style and they really pack those later episodes going forward. Because I was even thinking about, I don't remember what number, maybe it's episode 7 of season 2 or episode 6. Whichever one was Fishes, where they're at dinner and it's like an hour-long episode. It's absolutely incredible. You know what? I'm going to do an entire episode just on that episode. I don't care. I'm going to do a whole one just on that because it's incredible. It's fantastic. And it's in the middle of a bunch of incredible and fantastic episodes. So anyway, I hope all is well. I hope it was worth it. Anybody who likes this show, I hope they love talking about it. And if you have any thoughts related to the show or anything else, let me know. I will check those things. And I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.